Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up.
You can't say whether you have a non-disclosure agreement, but if you didn't have a non-disclosure agreement, you most certainly could say, I don't have a non-disclosure agreement. Yes?
You're so smart, Jimmy.
Thank you very much.
The lawsuit argues the agreement is null and void because it was not signed by Mr. Trump, referred to in the document by the pseudonym David Dennison.
Oh, God.
Daniels' lawyer says Mr. Trump purposely did not sign the agreement so he could later, if need be, publicly disavow any knowledge of the contract and Daniels. According to the complaint, Daniels had an intimate relationship with Mr. Trump that began in the summer of 2006 and continued well into 2007. The adult film star and director, whose real name is Stephanie Clifford, considered sharing her story in 2016 after the Access Hollywood tape surfaced.
You just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss them. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy.
Yeah.
You can do anything.
The complaint alleges Trump's longtime attorney, Michael Cohen, intervened, paying Daniels $130,000. Daniels says Mr. Trump knew about the payment, which she calls hush money. Last week, Cohen admitted to paying Daniels, but insisted that neither the Trump organization nor the Trump campaign was party to the transaction with Ms. Clifford, and neither reimbursed me for the payment, either directly or indirectly.
Wait. So here's the question. Did Michael Cohen breach the non-disclosure agreement by disclosing that he had made a payment to Stormy Daniels? You know, this whole thing is so sloppy and such a mess that, of course, it was done by a Trump administration. Although, you know, they say Michael Cohen is not part of the administration. He is part of the administration. He's not part of the administration. This is crazy. This is nuts, okay? And the idea that Michael Cohen was speaking out about an agreement to pay Stormy Daniels, Stephanie Clifford, Peggy Peterson, oh, Jesus, a porn star, a human being, by the way, to stay quiet, to be quiet, to shut up, to never, talk to anybody about, like, why would anybody ever want to admit having sex with that man? Oh, my God. But did he breach the contract by saying that there was a contract that was paid? This whole thing just reeks. It just reeks to high heaven. And you know, this is just the only reason why it's important is because the Trump administration is just, well, it's worse than whatever they say is meaningless. Just now, he had this little dog and pony show. He started his little trade war. I have no idea, what countries he's going to exempt. It seems like, and you can't really tell with him. It seems like every one of his economic advisors that are left, and there's like, the Goldman Sachs guy, the president of Goldman, Gary, he's gone, right? He left because he thinks that this is a job killer and he doesn't want it done on his watch. But what's so weird is he has his advisors say there will be no exemptions for any countries. It's a universal 25% tax. Once it gets to the border, the steel or the aluminum, 10% on the aluminum. And then he downshifts into, well, maybe we'll exempt Canada and Mexico if they give us a better deal on NAFTA. I don't even know what to tell you. I really don't know what he did just now. I mean, the NAFTA trading partners maybe will be exempted while, North American Free Trade Agreement is Canada, Mexico, and the United States. So maybe these three countries will renegotiate the deal or something like this, and they'll be exempted during the negotiation. I have no earthly idea what he meant by what he said, or whether it has any. He signed a proclamation citing national security. How in the world does private business have to do with? I don't even understand. I really don't. But you see, this all goes back to the Stormy Daniels issue, because this is an easy to understand issue, and when you understand that nothing that this administration does or says is to be relied upon, and that everything that President Trump says is mumbo jumbo or gibberish, or you have to wait to see what the hell he signed. He signed some proclamation. I don't know, what it is. All I could tell you is that the European Union has already made a list of American exports that they are going to start taxing. And that includes everything from T-shirts to cranberries to tobacco to Florida orange juice to bed linens to Harleys and motorcycles, and bourbon from Kentucky, and soybeans and poultry and pork, which pretty much affects every Trump state, every state that voted for Donald Trump. So I have no idea. Aluminum foil, aluminium. I don't understand it, but the Republican lawmakers are furious. So shouldn't that make me happy? I don't know, because I don't know what the hell he just signed. I have no earthly idea. I'll tell you that the Republican 107 lawmakers went to Donald Trump and said, please, please do not do this. Don't start a freaking stinking trade war. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And he doesn't care. He just went ahead and did it. And what's creepy is that his chief economic advisor, Gary Cohen, was advising against it. But this is a Goldman Sachs guy. I have no idea. I can't tell you. I can't tell you what it is. I could just tell you Scott Walker from Wisconsin. He's furious. He says they're going to tax everything. They're not going to take anything from motorcycles to beer to aluminum foil as exports, and this is what we export. And that Harley and Miller Coors and Seneca Foods, it's going to cost them more to make their products, and they're saying 5 million jobs will be lost. This is a huge job-killing tax hike. It would wipe out what families gained from the tax reform. Pennsylvania is saying Hershey is going to go, have to increase the price of the little Hershey's Kisses because they use it for packaging. Iowa farmers are the first target. They're saying soybeans will be, China isn't going to take the soybeans, and how easy a target agriculture is. And this is the first place they're going to look. And this is what they're going to. I have no idea. I mean, I don't know what he signed. I really don't know what he signed. I have no idea. I have to wait. But everybody is saying, the Republicans, I should say, are saying that in Michigan, we'll lose 30,000 jobs. In North Carolina, the pork and poultry business is going to go. I honestly don't. I could tell you what generally is said about trade wars, and that is that they never work. We had the Smoot-Hawley tax during the Great Depression. It actually caused the Great Depression. This man is you can't believe a word he says. This is the problem. This is the problem. But I will tell you that the reason why that Stormy Daniels clip that I played, having to do with Michael Cohen announcing that he did pay her and that he wasn't reimbursed and that Trump didn't have any knowledge of it, makes the entire arbitration. Well, let me start from yesterday. Okay, here's Sarah.
You've said repeatedly that we've addressed our feelings on that situation in regards to the Stormy Daniels payment, but specifically, can I ask, did the president approve of the payment that was made in October of 2016 by his longtime lawyer and advisor, Michael Cohen?
Look, the president has addressed these directly and made very well clear that none of these allegations are true. This case has already been won in arbitration, and anything beyond that, I would refer you to the president's outside counsel.
When did the president address specifically the cash payment that was made in October of 2016?
The president has denied the allegations against him. And again, this case has already been won in arbitration. Anything beyond that, I would refer you to outside counsel.
You said that there's arbitration that's already been won? By whom and when?
By the president's personal attorneys, and for details on that, I would refer you to them.
But you're aware of them, so what more can you share with us?
I can share that that the arbitration was won in the president's favor, and I would refer you to the president's outside counsel on any details beyond that.
I want to follow up on something you have said twice now this week, which is when asked about that payment to the president, you've said that Not that I'm aware of. Have you asked the president this question?
I'm sorry, can you be more specific?
Sure. It's both Jeff as well as Monday to the Wall Street Journal reporter. You were asked about whether the president knew about this payment his longtime lawyer made to facilitated Stormy Daniels. You said then and again today, not that you're aware of. Have you asked the president this question?
Yeah, I've had conversations with the president about this, and as I outlined earlier, that this case had already been won in arbitration, and that there was no knowledge of any payments from the president, and he's denied all of these allegations.
Sarah, but I just want to, is there a reason why you're not answering the actual substance of the question on the payment itself? Because it's come up a few times now. Can you
I believe I've addressed this question pretty extensively, and ongoing litigation, I'm not going to comment any further than I already have.
All right, so the president was furious. I told you, we played this yesterday. It changed the entire trajectory of the show because she did this press conference just ahead of us going live. But it was perfectly obvious yesterday that she was just making crap up. Either that or somebody was telling her bull crap and that she was repeating it. No one could figure it out. And I said to you, every reporter is currently calling, the attorney for Donald Trump, who is Michael Cohen, who Sam Nunberg went crazy saying, poor Michael Cohen, he got so screwed. Michael Cohen is in so much trouble. And it's not just Stormy Daniels that Michael Cohen is in trouble over. Michael Cohen is in trouble because Michael Cohen was writing to Russians, one Russian named Dmitry Peskov, who is the spokesperson for Vladimir Putin, during the campaign and beyond, asking about the Trump-Moscow deal, which he was working with Felix Sater, who he had worked with on Trump Soho, which turned, that's under investigation by Mueller as well. So Michael Cohen's in trouble for that. And then Michael Cohen is also being looked at by Mueller because some peace plan for Ukraine was supposedly given to Michael Cohen on the sly, and Michael Cohen passed it on to either Michael Flynn or the president. Nobody knows, he's denied it under oath and all this stuff, where the president, President Dennison would agree to drop sanctions against Russia in exchange for some peace plan in Ukraine. I don't know. Okay, and so Michael Cohen's already on the radar. Now Michael Cohen is out there saying that he paid Stormy Daniels $130,000 for something the president denies he ever did, and that he did it without the president knowing. And then there was arbitration that was won on behalf of the president. Now, those things can't all be true. In fact, none of those things are true. Because Michael Cohen, acting as the lawyer for Donald Trump in a matter to silence somebody Donald Trump had sex with, had to ask his client what to do about it and couldn't do anything without notifying his client that he was doing it. That's number one. Number two, Michael Cohen complained to others, Sam Nunberg and others, out loud, that the president never reimbursed him for the $130,000. And number three, when you look at this a temporary restraining order, which is what the arbitrator, whose name is, I wrote to her last night, Jacqueline Connor. She's a former judge who now does arbitration, a retired judge. And I wrote to her last night and I asked her two questions. I said, I don't expect a response, but it would be nice. But I said, Your Honor, respectfully, I have a two-part question. How is it possible that a shell company, because when you look at the order, the temporary restraining order, the action was brought by Michael Cohen's shell company that he set up to facilitate the payment to Stormy Daniels' lawyer. So I asked her, how can a shell company have standing in this matter when it's Donald Trump who is the plaintiff here, who is the person that requested the arbitration? I mean, how is that possible that a shell company has standing in a matter on a contract that was never signed by one of the parties? Because Donald Trump never signed that stupid arbitration. He never signed the hush agreement, is what they're called, a non-disclosure. He never signed it. So I'm wondering how Michael Cohen's shell company has standing, because when you look at the temporary restraining order, it says that the matter was brought before Judge Jacqueline Connor by EC, which is the shell company. And then the second question I had was, doesn't the target of the restraining order, isn't the target of the restraining order entitled to be heard? Due process being what it is and all. And then I look at the agreement. And the agreement that, was never signed, by the way, provides for one party being able to go in front of a judge to enforce the agreement. I don't know if that requires you to notify the other party that you're doing it, but it's an ex parte, which means one party. The whole thing is such a mess. And because Sarah Sanders isn't being told the truth, she promoted this issue, and now everybody knows it. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.